Sex is the life force energy that runs through us all. Can you use sexual energy for your spiritual evolution? Or perhaps for emotional healing? Is it even possible? Clinical sexologist Dr. Martha Tara Lee will explore all these and more on Eros Evolution on Om Times Radio.
And hello. This is Dr. Martha Tara Lee. I'm a clinical sexologist based in Singapore, and my company is called Eros Coaching. That's eroscoaching.com. And a lot has happened in the last 2 weeks. I received notice to leave my office. My landlord wanted the unit back, and I also found a house sitting arrangement for the next 3 to 6 months. So I moved into the house and left my office, and I'm staying in this beautiful 7-story, 7 rooms, 2 stories, 5 bathrooms place with a swimming pool. And by Singapore standards, it's really, really tremendous arrangement. And so I'm starting to see clients and run workshops from this space, and I'm very, very very grateful for this arrangement. So if you're interested to work with me, you can go to my website. Today we have a different guest, and it's Elise Carr, and the title of today's show is The Divinely Empowered Woman. And we will be exploring the connection between the Yoni, that's the female sexual organs, the Yoni, the heart, the mind of a woman, and how when these 3 parts are in sync, flowing and nourished, you can be a divinely empowered woman. Elise is passionate about the power women have within and often needs reawakening to reach its full potential. And in today's show, Elise will discuss practical ways to connect with your Yoni heart and mind to begin your personal journey of empowerment. She has an MA, and she's the person behind Stellar Muse with an unwavering passion for guiding amazing souls like you to awaken your inner power and manifest the miracles beyond your dreams, one Yoni at a time. Elise is on a mission to shine the light bright for you to take back your personal power and live as the divinely empowered woman you are here to be. Whether through her TV appearances, radio spots, writing events, transformational one-to-one deep coaching, or her Stellar Muse community, Elise is guiding the reawakening of women around the globe. Very impressive. So her website is stellarmuse.com. That's STELLAMUSE.com. So welcome to the show, Elise.
Thank you, Martha. It's a pleasure to be speaking with you at this beautiful morning. It's very dark here, but I'm very happy and very grateful to be here having a juicy conversation about the divinely empowered woman and the Yoni heart and mind space.
Thank you very much for making the time this second time. The first time we missed out on each other because of the time difference, and I understand it's 4 a.m. in Singapore, so what time is it where you're at?
It's 4 a.m. where I am as well. I'm actually on my week's mini work break. I'm in Ubud in Indonesia at the moment, but I am based in Melbourne. So it'd be a little bit later in Melbourne, but that's okay. We're on the same time zone here, so at least we can understand each other getting up very early to this beautiful conversation together.
Yes, thank you very much, very much. This is a very special week, being your birthday, I understand as well.
Yes, it is. I feel wiser. I'm definitely thinking that as we get older, we're like a fine wine. We get better with age. I'm convinced about that. So I'm very happy to be celebrating another birth year.
So one of the things that happens with being fine wine is I've noticed that I have become more beautiful over the years as I connect more and more with my sexuality and really heal a lot of my past wounds, including my inner child. What's your opinion on that?
I absolutely agree. I think it's totally possible for a woman or even a man to become more beautiful, as you say. I mean, beauty is what radiates from within. That's our light. And when we start turning it on sexually, sensually, romantically, yes, but also, spiritually. And as you said, clearing out those traumas, it allows our inner light to shine through. So absolutely, we will appear to others, I believe, and also appear to ourselves more attractive in that sense. We just happen to call it beauty because it radiates obviously also through our entire being, but through our eyes. And our eyes are the gateway to the soul. So it makes us even more juicy from that perspective too.
Beautiful. And you are a beautiful woman. I've looked at your website and your pictures. I understand you also do modeling.
Yes, I've been modelling since I was 7, and just between you and me and our lovely listeners, I just turned 32. So I've been modelling for a very long time, and I understand the industry very well. But I also understand I need something to balance out, something that's so objectified and very external, and hence I've such a huge passion for the work that I do in my private life as well, and the work that I do with my clients and through Stellar Muse.
Why Stellar Muse? Like, most people, they would name their website or company maybe after their name. How did you come up with this name?
The name came up when I was actually studying my master's. So as you mentioned, I have an MA in communications, culture, politics and women's studies. And as part of that, I had to create a very strong written component. And for me, I decided to base that partly, while it was very heavily analytical, very heavily researched, I actually created part of it to be a magazine, and I had to create an unregistered name. So it is very unique. It took me months to brainstorm, or as I say, heartstorm, the name, and Stella being star and Muse being something that's very inspiring. It became this starring, inspiring magazine, and that's what I want. I wanted to offer a shining light for the readers who are now clients. And anyone who connects with Stellar Muse. So that's how she kind of came about.
Beautiful. That's really, really beautiful. And it came from this deep place of you wanting to create something and thinking on it. And now I understand Stellar Muse means star. And it sounds beautiful.
Thank you, Martha.
Great. So I understand that in your work you explore with your clients the power women have with connecting with their Yoni heart and mind. So what is the Yoni?
The Yoni is the entire female sexual reproductive area, as you mentioned before. And it's a very sacred space that many of us are disconnected from. And I say many of us because women and men don't know what to do with it. And often women don't know what they have. We are separate from our power because we're too afraid to explore, or perhaps because we haven't cleared, as you also mentioned, trauma. And we don't realise that can come in many forms. For some people, that may be something really horrific that they experienced at any age, whether that's rape or sexual abuse. But also trauma can be a comment. It can be a painful relationship. There are so many different ways that we can, I guess, compartmentalise trauma. So we need to have an understanding that it's a very wide spectrum, and that because, let's say the vaginal canal is one great example, obviously it's made up of muscle. So we have, brain memory. We remember things, right? We have memories. But our body as muscle also has muscle memory. So your body, your biology is literally recalling your biography. We have to have a really good understanding of this so that we get to see the big picture, that our body is holding on to trauma. Our body is holding on to memories of life experiences. And the reality is that once we can go into that, let's call it a box. Once we can go into this beautiful box, open it, pull these things out, confront them, assess them. We don't need to go back in to relive them in a painful way. We just need to be able to confront them actually with detachment, actually by being the witness, get our power back. And we often do that through something like a guided chakra regression, which is something that I offer clients. And that also consists of a really big, powerful, jam-packed word, an F word, called forgiveness. We need to understand how much power we hold at ransom by not forgiving ourselves and not forgiving people that we've been connected with throughout our life. So when we can learn that and unpackage it, we actually are able then to get our power back. And I'm not saying that we are excusing people, because certain things that happen to us are wrong and they are painful and they are life-altering. But what we're doing is setting ourselves free. We're forgiving their soul for what passed between us. So it's quite a gift we get in return to let go and not hold on to it, because we're the ones that are carrying that pain, that burden. We don't need to anymore. When we can let go of that, clear it from the yoni space, we start to actually create room for, as you said, to become more beautiful. So there's more light that can fill up that space. We start to get our power back. We start to have a deeper connection. We might even find we're more drawn to talk to that space, to communicate with it, because we always talk to our ego, right? Or the ego talks to us. So we're starting up this line of communication. And then we need to start understanding that it's also about being able to connect on that sacred, sexual and spiritual level. And we'll become more desirable and more wanting to explore those kind of things when you have let go of the trauma, when you have let go of the pain. Because perhaps if you are still doing pain that you're not even aware of yet, it's not going to be as desirable for you to perhaps even want to make love, to perhaps even explore yourself. So first and foremost, we need to clear that space to allow the capacity, to allow the ability of the light and love, that sacred sexuality and spirituality, to want to start merging together within us, within that yoni space.
Beautiful. So much information that you've just packed in that short conversation that we just had. So I'm going to try to summarize what you just said. I'll try. So the yoni is the entire female sexual organ, and you mentioned, for instance, the vaginal canal, which is made out of muscle, and we have muscle memory. Once we understand our biology and the trauma that we have had in the past, we can clear it and allow more capacity for love and light to come into our lives.
Absolutely. Love and light, and that's the beginning of the divinely empowered woman.
Beautiful. So I'm curious. I know you've been doing this for a while now. When did you start realizing this power of the yoni?
I'd like to say my soul knew it, obviously, before I was brought to this world, but on a physical level, for me to fully tangibly understand it, it's only been probably in my 20s, and now obviously I'm in my 30s. So I would love it if women were waking up to this in their teens. I would love it if women, because I get women who come to me in their 20s, their 30s, their 40s, beyond. It would be wonderful if we all had that conditioning, if we all had a mentor, if we all had some kind of guidance, that we could understand how powerful what we have is when we are in our teens, or ideally when we're in puberty. That would be the most powerful.
So we have a break now, and after this break, we'll talk more about...
The future of Internet radio is here. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Hi, I'm Kelly Fox, host and astrologer of The Astrology Show. Each week, I'll give you access to the current transits, which are a valuable tool that provide astrological information to help unlock the potential each of us has. Understanding the stars can help steer us in the right direction to make better informed choices. So if you're wondering what's going to happen in your week ahead, be sure to tune in to The Astrology Show for guidance, Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
Dr. Kevin here, and I want to invite you every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, to join me on the Dr. Kevin Show, where we have a diversity of guests who help you step outside the box, behind the curtain, and see what a load of crap is going on in the world today, so you have more information with which to make better decisions. We'll see you there. Namaste.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Free your mind with Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
And welcome back to Eros Evolution. This is where sex and spirit meets. And you're listening to our show on the Om Times Radio Network, and you can share the show with your friends by sending them the link omtimes.com/mobile. With this link, your friends will be able to listen to the show without needing to download any app. That's really cool. I'm with Elise Carr, the divinely empowered woman, and you can find her at stellamuse.com. And today we're talking about the link and the power when you connect with your Yoni heart and mind. So just before break, we were talking about what is the Yoni. And I just like to go on and ask Elise now, what you mentioned that the Yoni is sacred, sexual, and spiritual. Could you elaborate more about the spiritual side of our Yoni?
Absolutely. For me, as being a Tantra practitioner, qualified Tantra practitioner, we merge sacred sexuality and spirituality. They are one. We don't separate them. So the concept is that sexuality and spirituality literally weave together to raise consciousness. And when we get to go from the Yoni to the heart to the third eye, the top of our crown, our mind, that is raising our consciousness. And when we can do that with another, we're able to merge in that sense and raise consciousness together. So this is just the foundation. It's the starting point. So we need both those elements. We need to be able to clear the trauma, to allow the sexuality and the spirituality to start to merge. So it's coming from a place of reverence. This is going beyond sex, even beyond making love, to becoming love. We want to be love. When we think of it like that, there is an element of spirit with it, because for some people, they call it different names. I like to think of this as a connection to the divine. For some people, this is a connection to God. For some people, it's a connection to something greater than them, the universe. So that's when we start to bring in the spirituality concept to it, in whatever guise it is that you relate to.
Thank you very much for your explanation. I started this show because I was confused between the link between sex and spirit. I keep hearing it from tantrikas, and it made sense, but I was also wondering how other practitioners had different perspective. So I love the way that you just talked about it, raising consciousness. So how can women connect with their Yoni?
They can do it in all different ways. First and foremost, I mentioned clearing out that trauma to allow you to have like a clean slate, like a beautiful, clear space to start with is really important. And you may want to do the guided chakra regression with someone like myself, or you might even want to start a conversation. So I love a really simple technique where you can put one hand on the Yoni space, so that might be on your womb, on your vulva, on your ovaries, and one hand on your heart, and just take a few moments to do some beautiful deep belly breathing and connect with that space. Start to feel your heart connecting with your Yoni. Start to feel the love from your heart go into that Yoni space. And when you feel relaxed and you feel comfortable, whether you're sitting or whether you're laying down, literally ask your Yoni space the question of, what do you need me to know right now? What do you need me to know right now? And what you're doing is opening up a conversation. And a conversation is a dialogue. It's not a monologue. So you ask the question and you give it space and time for the answer to come. Now, you might find that your Yoni responds really quickly and you have a very sharp answer. You might find there's nothing there, and that later on something comes to you, whether you hear a song and there's something in the lyrics, or you see a sign, literally a literal sign as you're driving, or perhaps someone says something in a conversation like, oh my gosh, yes. So be open to the way that your Yoni wants to communicate with you, but just starting that conversation can be very powerful. These are the foundation techniques. If you're already along your path and you're like, where do I go from here? Then absolutely you can start creating some self-pleasuring sessions. This doesn't have to be sexual. It actually can be pleasure, just taking time to put moisturizer, let's say some beautiful organic coconut oil, all over your body, focusing on massaging really beautifully over that womb space, on your inner thighs, on your breasts, and doing it as a state of worship, a state of reverence, a state of honor. We seem to miss these little steps. And as women, we require it. We need to be warmed up before we are really turned on. And this is on every part of our life. It's not just sexually. So when you want that from a beloved, you need to start doing that with yourself first and foremost. So taking time for you, slowing down because of the fast-paced society we live in, is essential to starting to warm up and clear and get on the path of being the divinely empowered woman.
Thank you. I love that question. What do you need me to do right now?
Yeah, what do you need me to know? So it's not even a doing, it's what do you need me to know? Because who knows what they might suggest. It could be you need to slow down, you need to be more. And that's feminine too, Martha. We get confused because the doing is so masculine, and we don't have masculine within us, but we often have too much masculine. So asking what we need to know now gives a beautiful open platform, whether it's something that we need to drop into our feminine more, or for some women, they're very flighty, they're very airy, they're very much in their Shakti, the feminine goddess, and they might need to be a bit more pushing. They might need to be a bit more forceful in the way they carry through things. They need to follow things through. They need to bring in their masculine. So we're opening that up in the conversation to see which way our Yoni feels we need to go to best be our divinely empowered selves, to best empower ourselves.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for that difference between the doing and the knowing that we all need to have.
Definitely. And the doing and the being as well.
So ask this question, just keep your mind empty and just be open for the voice that comes forth. And as Elise Carr mentioned, it is a foundational practice. And from there, you can go on to self-pleasuring, and it doesn't mean in sex. It can be, say, in loving yourself with a moisturizer, as she mentioned. Take the time and slow down. I love what you said, warm up to be turned on.
Yeah, definitely. We underestimate how important this is for a woman. It's like when we go to the next stage and we start exploring the connection then with our heart, because our heart leads directly to our breasts, right, and our arms, and it's our space of giving unconditionally. And as women, we're very drawn to, let's say, giving a hug. It's very natural for us to be givers all the time. But what happens when the cup pours itself into another all the time? It gets empty. So we need to fill ourselves up, right? And also with this heart space, it connects directly to our breasts. We need to know that we need to turn our breasts on so that beautiful heart energy, our warm space as women, can go down into our cool space because we have the polarity in our body. And that cool space is the Yoni. So by warming up the heart, by warming up the breast, by doing a beautiful massage, or even just holding them and sending beautiful light and warmth and healing energy there, focusing on sending it down to the Yoni space, they start balancing out. We start balancing our inner pole as a woman, and this starts to then raise that connection from Yoni. We're taking that sexual energy into a heart space, and we're sending it like in a cycle. So we're starting to build up that connection that I talk about. Another way we can do that is understanding that, I like to call it, we always need to be in a threesome, in 3 relationships. Our relationship with self, or soul, if you want to call it, our relationship with spirit, or the divine, and then our relationship with our tribe. So the first relationship, this is non-negotiable. We need to set some time for us, even if it's 5 minutes every day, to be on our own, doing something that fills up our cup. Now, for some people, it might be journaling. For some people, it might be enjoying a cup of tea. It might be going for a run. Whatever it is, you do it on your own, and it's to honor you. It's to honor your soul. Whatever it is that nourishes you, and it's non-negotiable. So don't skip this, not even on the weekend, right? Find that little bit of time that fills up your cup for you. And then you can move on to your next relationship, and that next relationship is with spirit, in whatever form that is for you, whether it is the goddess, God, the universe, Buddha, whatever it is that you term spirit, you need a way to connect with that. So perhaps it's going to a beautiful temple. Perhaps it's sitting on your yoga mat. Perhaps it's sitting under a tree and being mindful. And just like we opened up that conversation with the Yoni space, open up the conversation with the divine. You can ask, how can I be of service for myself today, first and foremost, so that I can be of greater service to others? Show me, guide me, lead the way, work through me. Because what you're doing there is you're surrendering your ego. You're putting that to the side and you're allowing something greater than you, which for the record is also within you, to guide the way. So nourishing those 2 relationships will make you feel more whole, right? Because you're creating space to let more light into your being. And therefore, when you get to your 3rd relationship, your tribe, which might be your beloved, it might be your child or children, it might be your community, you come from a more fulfilled, filled up place to serve. So these are non-negotiable relationships, especially those first 2, because as women, we burn out too easily when we give all the time. Doesn't mean that we can't go for long periods of time before we burn out, but we then would be going into adrenal fatigue. It's a really dangerous place to be. So we want to be coming from a place that is whole and filled and really juicy and really happy and desiring to want to give. And that means also that our yoni space and our heart space are feeling great as well. Yeah, and when they start getting in sync, that's when we start to then be able to elevate and lift up to creating that higher consciousness space.
Okay, so let me get this right. So the threesome, the triangle that you're talking about, the first one is self and soul, the second one is spirit, and then the third one is?
Tribe. Your tribe. Yeah, so that's like your beloved, or you could have a husband or a girlfriend, or it's your child or children, or perhaps it's your community, you know, or your colleagues at work, whatever that is for you, you know.
Okay, got it. What do you call this triangle?
I call it the 3 non-negotiable relationships, or the best threesome ever. Because to me, they're 3 relationships that you always need to be in. So you're constantly in this threesome, right? And that's much more juicy than any other threesome could possibly ever be, because this is one where you get to be the biggest, brightest version of you, and you get to be the greatest server, the greatest, you know, provider that you can possibly be. And that's why we're here. We're here to give back. But in order to do that, we have to be filled ourselves.
So simple and yet so powerful. This is amazing. I love it. I really, really love it.
Simplicity is often the best, and therefore we're more inclined to commit to it as well, because it is so simple. But as you said, it's so powerful, and that's like even meditation, right? It's so simple. You just sit there, but we all know how powerful it is when we commit to it. So that's the big question. Are you ready to commit? Are you ready to do the work? Are you ready to awaken as a divinely empowered woman? Well, it means you've got to start putting some work in, right? Because it starts with us. It starts with us.
Yes, I'm ready. Yes, yes. I don't know whether listeners are ready. I really hope you're inspired and motivated, and you're going to do something, anything, any of the things that Elise just mentioned. It's so powerful. Even if it's 5 minutes a day to fill up your own cup. Do it. And we're going to do more after this break.
The cutting edge of conscious radio. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
The truth is, you can't change the world if you're broke. I know. I've tried. Isn't it time you turned your life's calling into a profitable, freedom-based business? I'm Michelle Barr. Join me every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Sacred Success.
Hi, this is Julie Geigel.
And I'm Alicia Isaacs-Howes.
And I'm Catherine Glass.
And we're the Psychic Angel Channelers. You can find us every week here on Om Times Radio at Angel Talk Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
The angels have heard your call and are here to help.
Are you ready to receive?
Remember your magnificence with Angel Talk Tuesday.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. Om Times Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single Om Times endeavor. Host your show with Om Times Radio Network. Simone Milasas would like you to know that business can be fun, which is why she wrote the book, Joy of Business. What if you could have the joy of business rather than the stress and struggle? Most of the time, the only thing stopping you from a thriving business is you. In the Joy of Business book, Simone gives you access consciousness tools and pragmatic ways to get out of your own way and to create the business, life, and living you know is possible and beyond what this reality says is achievable. Business is joy. It's creation. It's generative. It can be the adventure of living. You can purchase your copy of the book through Amazon or Joy of Business website, www.accessjoyofbusiness.com. Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
welcome back to Eros Evolution. This is where sexuality and spirituality meets. Well, with Elise, who teaches and inspires women to take back their own personal power and awaken their Yoni heart-mind connection. She guides women to weave and expand their consciousness through sacred sexuality and spirituality to shine as a divine feminine, stellar warrior goddess in harmony and in touch with your true self while living your passion-driven, purposeful life. She is known as the pioneer of Yoni power. Elise Carr is a divine empowerment, sacred sexuality and spirituality director, holistic life coach, writer, motivational speaker, Reiki master, tantric practitioner, model, and artist. And you can find her at stellamuse.com. Welcome back.
Thank you, Martha. How exciting is this? I'm loving our conversation. So,
yeah, awesome.
We were just talking about the power of the second part of this combination, which is the breast. Should we dive into that a little bit further?
Yes. So you mentioned that our breasts are connected with our heart. So tell us more.
Absolutely. I mean, it's quite logical when you think, because the heart sits right almost, between either of our beautiful breasts, and we often ignore them, and sometimes they're just seen as play toys, for a beloved or for a partner, and we need to learn to understand that women are like water. So you think when you put water into a kettle and you turn it on, you got to wait a little while. You got to wait a little while for that water to start bubbling up and really literally become to boiling point. And when a woman is at boiling point, when we are so turned on, we can stay there for quite some time, right? So this is how we are. Men are complete opposite. Guys are just like fire. They're on, and then you can pour some water on them and they're off, right? So we need to have that understanding of what it takes to turn us on. And a way to start literally turning ourselves on is to take the time to connect with the breast. This is a beautiful powerhouse for us. Now, whether this is in sacred, special practice on your own, or whether it's with the beloved, but taking time to do a breast massage, it's really important that we have an understanding of the energy of the breast. So we start, if our fingers are pointing down towards the earth, we then drag our hands up the breasts, if we're bringing them up towards our neck, and around the sides and down so they meet in like a prayer position, then bring the hands up again. So this circular motion is called the white deer. And when we move the energy up and around, we're actually increasing the energy. We're starting to warm ourselves up. We're starting to warm up that water that is our Shakti, our divine feminine essence. Taking time to do that, and a beloved to take their time really slowly, really gently. Like we all might remember that beautiful movie with Patrick Swayze, Dirty Dancing, and he has baby's arm over his shoulder, and he very gently, very lightly uses his fingers to just scrape the very side of her breasts and her rib cage, and she tickles, she trembles because it's such a sensitive part. Really light touch, feather-light fingers are so important. Now, I'm not saying you can't go on to squeezing and sucking and biting and scratching, whatever it is that turns you on, but start off really gently and build up to that, whether you're on your own or with a beloved. And start to notice the connection. Start to notice when you spend a few minutes or maybe a little longer massaging your breasts, really connecting with yourself in that heart space, imagining that heart radiating out, because our heart in the chakras is green, so you can imagine a green light. And start to notice what happens with the yoni space. Do you feel more turned on? Do you feel more juicy? Are you noticing biological and physical changes? Are you literally becoming more lubricated? Are you literally becoming more desiring of your partner? Do you want to be filled up? These are signs that your body is actually responding on a physical, emotional, energetic level. And this is what we want. We want a woman to be a hell yes before she starts making love, whether it's with herself or with a beloved. Not be rushed. We don't want to be rushed. The Shakti, divine feminine, never rushes. She is cool and calm and collected when she's in this sacred, sexual, spiritual space. So we need to honor that. So absolutely, if you haven't explored it, start exploring a very gentle, very loving, very nurturing breast massage. And this is also something that I teach as well in some of my Tigerish practices, how to do the full, complete daily practice of breast massage. And when I say daily, this is excluding moon time, which is your period. We always give ourselves those few days of rest from this practice when we have our period.
Beautiful. So you teach many other practices in your Stellar Muse website. Do you have a program specifically?
I don't have a specific program because I like to cater to each individual. Everything I do is very bespoke. So it depends where the woman or the couple or the man are when they come to me. So let's just say it's a woman. First and foremost, I often like to have a really big conversation and see where she's at, what she wants to explore. And I can start to get a feel, obviously very intuitively so, for what really would be of the greatest service to her along the path for where she is now.
Okay. And the white deer technique is something that you encourage all women to do daily, except when she's having her moon time.
Correct.
Okay. Great. So I love this practice that you just shared. So we talked about the yoni and we talked about the heart. How about the inner wisdom mind and slowing down the ego mind?
Yeah, that's just it, Martha. You've said it. That's one of the biggest challenges that many of us face, but it's the most simple practice that you commit to, and that is slowing down. Slowing down allows us to get some perspective. We don't get so caught up in the drama, talking about the people, listening to conversations of complaining, all these things that don't nourish us. They don't create space. They clutter our mind, they program our mind, and they don't allow any gaps for the light, the love, the spirit, the divine to come in. So we want to detach from those kind of things. The other things we can detach from is too much media. Anything that literally is programming us, unlike something like your show here where we're getting, enlightened, we are getting light from this topic. We're learning different practices that can enrich our lives. But when we're listening to too much clutter or watching too much things or on social media too much, it can be really stimulating in a negative sense. It gets the ego really revved up. So you need to detach, we need to cut back. We need to have days free of, let's say, our phone, days free of email, days out in nature. We need to reconnect to Mother Earth, to Mother Nature, to be barefoot on the ground, to swim in the ocean or the sea, to be by a fireplace, to feel the wind. Really connecting with the earth in that sense helps us get back to divine feminine. Allows us to clear our mind, to get rid of everything that no longer serves us. I like talking about it as if it's, a muddy village. And that's where all the drama and too much emotional fixation and too much stimulations. We want to climb up the mountain to the top where the beautiful temple is. And that beautiful temple is where your mind needs to be. When you catch yourself start slipping back down, you want to grab yourself in the moment and drag yourself back up to your temple. And you'll know when you start having this shift, because you'll be less inclined to want to hear about gossip. You won't be, as interested in buying the magazines all the time. You'll just have a little flick here and there. You won't want to be doing the same things with the same people, perhaps. You might realize that you're parting ways with some friends or a beloved because you're not on the same wavelength. When you start changing from the inside out, when you start raising your vibration in the pursuit of raising consciousness, in the pursuit of enlightenment, not everyone's going to want to share this journey with you, and that's okay. We need to understand it's okay. We can't take these things personally.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. How about the inner wisdom mind bit?
To gain inner wisdom, we need to cultivate mindfulness. But we also need to cultivate non-judgment, loving kindness and compassion. And this is the highway between the heart and the mind. Because when we start moving that heart energy, because the heart is supposed to be a place of loving kindness, of compassion, when we start lifting that up into the mind, it allows the non-judgment to flow with greater ease. If we don't have the yoni space connected to the heart and bringing that into the mind, it's extremely difficult to come from that space. That's why it's so important to start with the yoni here, to start with that foundation, to start with our lower chakras and work our way up. So something simple that you can do on a daily basis is slowing down, creating that time for yourself, like we talked about those 3 relationships. And perhaps it might be sitting on your yoga mat and being in meditation, even if it's for 5 minutes. Sit still, do some beautiful deep breathing, allow your mind to clear. When thoughts come into your mind, sweep them to the left, come back to the present moment. That's your monkey mind trying to take over, and it doesn't serve you. And if it helps, focus on something that can keep your attention. Focus on a flame, a candle flame, and have soft eyes open. Or perhaps, you want to focus on a lotus flower, or focus on the word love, or on the word peace, whatever it is. But find ways in your life that you can slow down to allow your mind to have a break from the craziness and better receive the light so that you can become more connected entirely in that Yoni heart mind space.
So much wisdom that you've been sharing with us about the connection with our Yoni heart and mind, and also practical ways to do so with each. So for listeners out there, if you're interested to read more about Elise and her work, be sure to visit her website, stellamuse.com, and I'm going to say this again at the end of the show. So she has a 4-part video series, The Divinely Empowered Woman. It's yours free to download from her website. You just simply click the invitation at the top right-hand corner of the home screen. That's stellamuse.com. And if you like what she's been sharing on this show, then I'm sure you would love to receive her 4-part video series. So be sure to check it out. She's also on Twitter, Stella Muse, and she's also on Facebook, Stella Muse Me. Is that right?
That's correct. And same also on Instagram as well, under Stella Muse. So come and follow the Stella journey, and I'd love to welcome you to the Stella tribe.
Beautiful. And so we're going to have a break very soon in 2 minutes. So I'm very curious about your training in Tantra. Where specifically did you train with? I mean, you seem so knowledgeable and confident in everything that you're sharing and teaching us here today. I'm very interested to find out.
I study with many practitioners from all around the world, and that's why I guess I've created my own unique approach to it. It's really important, I feel, as someone who's going to be a professional in the field, to not just read a book or do one certificate or one lot of training. You really need to continually learn and evolve. So that's one thing I definitely encourage if someone out there is interested on the tantric path. And obviously I do take some students who want to become apprentices, but it's so important to really submerge yourself into a different ways, different understandings, different knowledge, and find out how you want to bring that together to create something that's unique so that your light can shine through your work.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate what you're sharing with us on today's show. Just a quick summary. Elise Carr was talking about the mind and the importance of slowing down, so being away from the drama so that we can have more perspective, and that means decluttering, reconnecting with nature, having electronic-free days so that the inner wisdom will come forth. So more with her after this break.
The Real Conscious Connection. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Looking for inspiration?
Want to be inspired?
Not sure where to go?
Find Mark and Kim every Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on Inspired Living.
Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience and all things spiritual.
Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
Join Vibe Nation radio host, international psychic medium Carrie Turcotte, as she guides her listeners to rediscover themselves by accessing the keys of knowledge that already exist within. Each week's show is divinely orchestrated to intertwine with the universal energies, allowing the listeners to go deeper within. At the end of each show, Carrie will tap into the energies of the listeners and give a message from Spirit about the upcoming week. If you really want to get to know who you truly are, join Carrie each Monday at 3 p.m. on Vibe Nation Radio.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Conscious media for conscious minds. Om Times.
And welcome to the last part of today's show, Eros Evolution. And we are with Elise Carr. She is known as the pioneer of Yoni power. She is a divine empowerment, sacred sexuality and spiritual director, holistic life coach, writer, motivational speaker, Reiki master, tantric practitioner, model, and artist. And in today's show, we've been talking about the connection and very simple practices in which you can connect with your yoni, your heart, and your mind. And I'm just very, very interested to find out from you, Elise, what would you give in the form of advice for people who have a broken heart?
Such a beautiful question, and it's something that we've all experienced. First and foremost, we need to understand that at some time in our life we are going to experience having a broken heart, and often, as I'm sure you can relate, Martha, more than once, right? And this is part of our soul's evolution. So what we need to do when we are able to heal that is also see it's a gift, because once you've had it once, you are much better equipped to be able to heal the next time. But when you're in that space, you need to be really gentle with yourself. You need to understand that it's a process, that often if something feels broken or lost, it's like something that's been ripped from you. Let's say it's a partnership that's no longer together. We are going to feel a sense of sadness, and we need to go through that grieving time, and that's perfectly okay. Understand that you might want to be on your own and honour that. Honour this as a time to go within. I love looking at this also from the perspective of like having time to go into the underworld. Like Persephone went into Hades, and we look at Greek mythology. This is a beautiful, dynamic part of our life, because without the darkness, we can't have light. It's part of the duality. It's like feminine and masculine. And believe it or not, the darkness is feminine. So when you have a broken heart, to be able to heal yourself, you need to go within. You need to sit with yourself. It's a perfect time to take a mini break. It's a perfect time to sleep a little bit longer, to eat beautiful, nourishing foods, to slow down, to disconnect from anything that doesn't serve you. You don't have to feel like you need to sit there and have long conversations with everyone about what happened unless you feel it serves you to talk about it somewhat. I definitely encourage you to talk about it, but there's also a time that you need to perhaps write it out for yourself. For me, part of my healing, one of my biggest heartbreaks was actually writing my first book. And I realised pouring that onto the page was so therapeutic. So find a way for you that allows you to feel lighter, that starts bringing the light back to you, because you are in that dark phase. And just know that with love and kindness, compassion, non-judgment, you'll be able to heal swifter. Make sure you're those three for yourself, right? We need to be our own great love first and foremost. Always remember that one as well.
Thank you. And for women who have been, disconnected with their yoni and their sexuality for a long time, how about those people who also were have had trauma in the form of the sexual violation, like assault or rape?
You really need to speak to a professional, whoever that is that resonates with you. It's very important you speak to someone, because we often keep these things within. I have many women that come to me who haven't shared these experiences, sometimes for a decade or 2 decades. And a lot of that is to do with shame and guilt. Now, the reality is there's nothing to be shameful or feel guilty about. It's something that was done to you. It's not about the clothes that you wore or anything ridiculous like that. It's really about shifting that perspective and understanding that what you will gift yourself is your power back if you do seek some guidance. Seek someone who can help walk you through the steps to get your power back, to relieve yourself of that trauma. And that's part of what I do on a regular basis with women, and it can be very dynamic. And yes, there'll be tears, but there's often very much laughter as well, because when we start shifting up that stagnant energy, the energy that's been stuck within us, we are able to feel that lightness again. And this may be a long journey for someone. It may not take very long at all. we often don't realize that sometimes there's trauma there because we think, oh, I'm fine. That happened to me when I was very young, or it happened recently, but I'm over it now. You might think that intellectually, but emotionally and energetically, your body might feel otherwise. So that's once again when we tap into that space and we start the conversation with our yoni. So if you're not ready to perhaps speak to someone else yet, then at least speak to your body. Connect with that body part that was violated and ask what it needs of you. How can you serve it best? Right? Start that conversation within yourself and get that guidance. And it might be that the guidance comes from your body for you, or perhaps that guidance comes from the divine or the goddess or God, whatever it is for you. Open up the conversation to get that guidance so that you have some clarity on the next step that serves you best along this path to healing and thus empowerment.
So much wisdom and knowledge and tips and techniques that you're sharing with us on today's show. I'm really extremely grateful to you. And I love especially this part that you just mentioned about encouraging listeners who have gone through any kind of assault or violation to seek professional help. And the tone and manner in which you do that is so loving and compassionate. I really appreciate it.
That's exactly how we need to be, Martha, with each other and with ourselves. So with ourselves first and foremost, that's why it's one of those non-negotiables, right, in our first relationship, to show up for ourselves every day from that place of compassion. It sounds really simple, and it is simple, but it's a bit of a challenge.
Okay, so share with us some of your current and future plans. You mentioned your book.
Yes, so my first book, Runway, which talks about the unglamorous side of the modelling industry, but really fundamentally it's about having integrity. It's about the belief in self, that unwavering belief in self that we all need to have. And at the moment, I'm in discussion with publishers, so she's just working away doing her own little thing. In the interim, I'm actually writing my second book, which is called Yoni Power, exploring the entire female sexual reproductive area and how once we empower that, as we've discussed, it's the start of our empowerment as a divinely empowered woman. So I'm also receiving interviews from women around the world who want to share anonymously their personal Yoni story, or women who are in the profession who would like to share their professional take on how empowering it can be once they heal the Yoni space. So if there's any ladies out there who would like to connect with me, they're very welcome to write to me and I can send them an interview, and that's Elise at stellamuse.com, and that's ELISE. I'm sure we can post that up somewhere for ladies to connect if they'd like to share that. It would be an honour to include some beautiful ladies from your podcast with the research. So that's a big part of my focus right now. I'm also working towards creating a package to offer online, because I currently don't sell anything online. Everything's very bespoke and in person or via Skype. So that's going to go along with my rebrand and the launch of my new website, which is coming out very soon.
I'm looking forward to it. So for listeners out there, you can definitely read more about Elise and her work. Go to her website and be sure to be on her mailing list so that you can get information about her 2 books as they're being released. So her website, once you subscribe to her through her website, you will be able to receive a 4-part video series, The Divinely Empowered Woman, and it's free to download. And you can just go to the invitation on the top right-hand corner of the home screen. That's stellamuse.com. Thank you so much for coming on today's show. I really appreciate everything that you shared with us, and I really wish you all the best for your 2 books and all the exciting projects that you're doing, including this program that you're working on.
Thank you, Martha. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's really been wonderful to dive into these exciting topics. And if there are any ladies out there that are more excited and intrigued to hear how we can work together on their Yoni heart mind exploration, I'm very happy to receive an email, or they can connect with me via Stellar Muse, because it's so important that we have a deep connection with ourselves. Really important. So whether you're doing that on your own or whether you're requiring someone to be that light bearer, which is my role as an empowerment coach and director, take some steps today. Start investing in you. Start looking into your first relationship with yourself. Start looking into your relationship with spirit, the divine, and start looking at your relationship with your tribe. Really invest in this, because you are the most valuable part of your life, right? No one else is going to do this work for you. And now's the time. If you're listening to this, then I'm telling you now is the time. This is your sign that you've been waiting for. So start taking your power back right now by taking a little baby step. Connect with your Yoni space. Ask, what does it need from me right now? Ask from your heart space, what do you need me to know right now? Create a little sacred space for yourself, literally in your home, and take some time to sit there and connect. Slow down, disconnect. Pick up a book that's going to be enlightening. Tune into beautiful radio stations like Martha's here. Just do little things every single day, and you'll find that more and more you'll start raising your vibration and moving towards that divinely empowered soul you choose to be.
Let's take a deep breath together.
That feels really good.
I love it. I love it. I love you. I think I'm a big fan.
Oh, thank you, Martha. I'm a fan of your work too.
I really do. I think you're amazing, and you've shared so much. You're so wise beyond your years, and you have learned so much from all these different teachers. And this really shows through in all the things that you're sharing. And you've been very, very generous with us. I'm very grateful. And I strongly urge listeners who have enjoyed this show to share it with your girlfriends, because it's impossible to change someone if they don't want to change. And all we're doing here is inspiring you to take small steps. So this has been Dr. Martha Tara Lee of Eros Evolution, and my company is called Eros Coaching. And next week I have a different guest, and it's Dawn Peck, and we're going to be talking about Tantra. She's returning for the second time. So be sure to tune in to Eros Evolution next week.